What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Jake here at Nerd Level Rising, and I'm excited today to bring you a new video number 2, in my series here, becoming a Wars of Light and Shadow scholar. This is where I just want to rave about this series that has taken over my life, that I love so dearly, and just talk about it more because it's fun, right? And I want to try to get more engagement, more awareness of the series, because man, it deserves it, dude. It really, really does. So let's get into this today. This will have some light spoilers, okay? I'm not going to spoil the plot of the series or any of the big things that happen, or even any of the individual books. This is just going to contain some things about some areas, some character names, maybe some setup or some motivations for those characters. This is just sort of the setup, the ground level, what's kind of going on as we kick off this story. So I think that you can, if you haven't read any of the books or anything like that, I think you can watch this and not feel spoiled. I think some people, if you're like me, for example, and you're very, very spoiler sensitive and you want to be completely blind when you go into a series, or as completely blind as you can be while still knowing like the overall premise, you might want to be careful, okay? I'm just going to be honest up front. I want to be able to talk about some of these things without being too constrained, just because I think it helps to kind of set the stage a bit better. But I will do my absolute best to keep this as spoiler light in as many areas, as spoiler free in as many areas as possible, and very, very light spoilers just here and there, some of the setup, some of the general motivation things for some of these people, places, things as we get into this, because I just, like I said, I want to explain the breadth and scope of what's being set up here and just how truly epic and incredible this is. So if you're still here, if you're still watching the video, you haven't been scared off yet, let's jump in. So obviously the series is called the Wars of Light and Shadow, and we have these, by the name of the series, these two opposing sides. And if you watched my last video where I talked about why you should read this, I read the prologue of book 1 that described that the overall premise that we're seeing is Arathon, the Master of Shadow, versus the Lord of Light, and their conflict over the years, as well as some of the interplay of some other people through this world. And we're sort of getting the account of this conflict after the fact. So let's maybe start there, right? Arathon Cephalon is his name, right? That has been raised by pirates, right? His father was the pirate king. No, this isn't One Piece. But he's raised by pirates, and he's raised aboard ships. He's a great sailor, and he knows how to sort of lead by example. He's quiet, he's reserved, he's very like agile and acrobatic, and he's very passionate about music and art. And he's very, at times, very soft-spoken, but when he needs to speak up, he can do that, right? He can stand up and take charge and be very serious. But he is very empathetic. In fact, he is really bound by his ancestral line to be predisposed to empathy to a very great extent. On the other side, we have Lysair Selessid, who is raised in the kingdom of Amroth, and he is raised by your sort of more stereotypical type of kingdom, right? And he's raised to be this great leader, and he's this tall, muscular, handsome, blonde, really charismatic. Like, people look up to this guy, and he is respected to an extent in the kingdom, or at least he thinks he is. And he is then he's betrayed by everybody, really, right? Some of his early in his life, his mother left the family, right? And then as we get early in book 1, he has more things that are happening that he winds up being sort of abandoned, betrayed by some of the people that he cares about and he feels should care about him. Right? So he has a very different makeup, and he is also very strongly predisposed through his family lineage to justice, right? And that's his thing. He wants to uphold justice, and he's very, very staunch in that belief. And so we see immediately how they're these two characters that are very well defined, and they have such strong personalities and motivations, and they're sort of thrust into this world where they have to go about what they're doing, and they're trying to navigate their own predispositions alongside what they're sort of being forced into, alongside some of the choices they have to make that can really strongly change some of the other things around them. It's just there's so many ripple effects, so many domino effects that are happening here. But those are the two main people that we're seeing in this conflict, the sort of leaders, as it were. And I mentioned the Amroth, and then for Erathon it was Carthan is the kingdom. These are the kingdoms of dascen and elur. This is the splinter world that we begin the story on before we get to Athera. And I think that's very important, is what it seems like it will be. We don't know yet for sure, right? I have read through Warhost of Vastmark. We have not seen this be a super important thing for now, the plot on Athera, but I have a feeling it's going to come back around at some point, because Janny does nothing by accident. Everything is there for a reason, and everything will matter a lot. I truly believe that. So I do think as we go through this series of videos, you're probably going to see this is going to come up again. That's my prediction. But those are our sort of main kingdoms there on dascen and elur before we go through the gate, the World's End gate, and we get to Athera. And on Athera, a lot is going on, guys. A lot is going on. So we get there immediately, just the geography. There are these 5 main kingdoms. We have Tyson, we have Melhala, Havish, Shand, and Rathane, right? Those are our 5 main kingdoms, and they each are going to have their rulers, and they have their hierarchies, right? They have their Caeth Dayan, which is sort of like translates to shadow behind the throne. You could think of this as like Hand of the King in Game of Thrones, right? This is like the primary counselor, advisor to the king. We see Lady Maynal in book 1, right? As we go through and meet some of these people in book 1, like that's one of the early ones that we see. And so there's going to be a lot of political things happening within each of these kingdoms, right? And some conflicts between them and so on and so forth. There's ruling class. There's like more clansmen that some would view as sort of more barbaric, but others would view as more honest and down to earth and normal to them, right? So there's a lot going on just between these different kingdoms. We have the races of the world, right? Not just humans. There's more. As we get into Ships of Merior, we start to learn a little bit more about the history. And, you know, even in book 1, we hear about the Paravians and who are these people that are extinct, gone from the world. And we learn that there's multiple races within the Paravians, and they all have their differences between them, and they work together. And the part of what we're doing is like, why are they gone, right? Where did they go? Why are they gone? How did they go? Can they come back? Do we want them to come back? There's a lot going on there that we haven't learned. There's a lot of mysteries going on. We learn in book 2, there's even more of some of these deeper ancient races. We learn about dragons. We learn about Seer Deluin, however you say that. I believe that's correct. Some of these ancient races that were created out of sort of meddling with the magic and how they were at war. And the Paravians were created by the god Ath to come and help settle this conflict and heal the world. And then men came, and then the Mistwraith arrives, and the Paravians disappear. And so now we have this huge problem, right? Before we get to the plot of Curse of the Mistwraith, we have this huge problem. The Paravians are gone, and the Mistwraith has come and blanketed the world in shadow, in this shroud of mist. And we need to figure out because the Paravians apparently were good and helpful, right? They helped to end this big war, but you know, now they're gone, and there are people who are trying to bring them back. And that sort of leads to some of the other powers at work here, one being the Fellowship of the Seven. And one of their goals is to restore the Paravians, right? And to do that, they need to banish the Mistwraith. And so they have this goal, this plot of using Erathon and Lysair to help to get rid of this thing so that they can get the world back to how they feel it needs to be. And they also want to restore their fellowship back to its former strength. It's sort of been dwindled in fighting this very Mistwraith, right? In the Fellowship of the Seven is not 7. We have Sethvir, who is the warden of Althane Tower, this tower that is just imbued with the magic of Athera and the the Paravians had some role to play with that, right? That they helped to give this power to Sethvir to sort of oversee. And we see him do this quite a bit, right? He's kind of looking out over the world and seeing things and sending people out to deal with this, or like, oh man, this is happening, we got to deal with that thing. And then, oh, but we're spread too thin, how do I do this? So there's a lot going on there as well. Some of the people that he dispatches that have different skill sets and that do different things. We see early on in the series, we follow a lot of Asandir and his apprentice, I guess you would say, Dakar, the mad prophet, who has these prophetic visions, and he's also very funny and sort of bumbling around, and so we follow quite a bit of what they do. Those are the ones that we see the most. But we also have Luhane and Caradmon, who are described as discorporate. They are ghosts, really, spirits. So that there's something happened. What happened to them? Why are they like that? Can we get them back to being full in the present, right? To get them fully back there. We hear about, Traith, who is crippled in a lot of ways. And he was sort of the one who bore the full brunt of the Mistwraith coming through this gate from the south gate, the world that it inhabited, and it was coming through, and he tried to cut it off and make sure that no more could come into it there. He's trying to defend the world, and in so doing, he became terribly maimed by, especially magically so, right? And so we want to know more about him. What's going on with him? What happened? Can we heal him? Is he going to be okay, right? We have so many questions about him. And he has this little like raven that just is like a sidekick, right? That's kind of fun. Animal companion. And we hear about Davian the Betrayer. We don't really know anything about him, but he's called the Betrayer. What did he do? Who did he betray? What happened? We hear about Silidus, the Lost. What's going on with him? Or her, right? I don't know that they're all men, but what's going on, and can we learn more about these people? And so we are going through the politics of this group of people, and they clearly have plans, and we don't know all of their plans. We know some of them as we go through the series. We learn some things, we see some of the things that they do, but not all of it makes sense to us as the reader immediately. Some of it will certainly be explained as we continue through the series, but now at least here at the onset, early on, some of it makes sense. I see what they're doing. Some of it does not, and I'm not quite sure what that means. And I'm very excited to learn more and more about their motivations. But so far, they overall have this goal to restore the Fellowship to full strength and to bring the Paravians back to the world. And they seem to be very okay with doing really whatever it takes for those greater goods. They're willing to make sacrifices. They're willing to make very hard decisions if it means that they can achieve those things. And in opposition to them, we see a different branch of sorcerers. We see the koriani, the enchantresses, and they are fully, it seems, in opposition, and they have their own goals, their own plots, their own ideas for how to use Arathon and Lysair and get the most out of their abilities to do something. I'm not entirely sure yet what their ultimate goals are, but they certainly don't fully agree with the Fellowship. And we see Moriel Prime, the leader, 1,000+ years old, right? That she is trying to go about her business, whatever exactly that is. Again, we don't know fully yet. We see the first Enchantress Lorenda, who is sort of the next in line, and is she able to get acceptance to ascend, and then what does that mean for Moriel, and what's going on with all that stuff. We see the initiate Elura and some of the things that she goes through the series, as she's sort of sent on these different errands, and sometimes she's successful, sometimes she's not, sometimes she's asked to do things that she doesn't agree with, and she'll kind of manipulate things to an extent, but she can't get away with everything because she can be watched. We see that a lot with the koriani. They scry things, right? They're able to see a lot, but not always. Some of it depends on the time of the year, and the change in seasons seems to matter a lot with how powerful they can be and what they can accomplish. And they use magical items a lot more. We see them with these sort of focusing stones that helps them to focus their magic and do things like that. So it's very, very interesting to see. Not just do we have the Fellowship who's kind of pulling some strings in the background, but we also have the koriani who are pulling some strings in the background, and these two don't seem to agree. But there are things that happen that make me believe they don't outright hate each other. They're not at war necessarily. I think it's more complex than that. It's not like everything else in the series. It's not just black and white. And then now I've gotten another couple of books into the series, we have another group that's here, Ath's Brotherhood. This is like a religious group. And I don't know much about them yet. They seem quite strange. They seem quite just very unknown, very mysterious. And I'm very excited to learn more about them and like whose side are they on? Are they on their own separate side? Are they pulling strings or no? Or are they kind of in the middle somewhere? Or are they the ones being used? What's going on? We know from the prologue of Curse of the Mistwraith that there is a religion of light, right? How does this happen with Ath's Brotherhood, this religious group? Is it the same thing? Are they going to be in conflict? Like what's happening with this? What's happening with this? So overall, we have these different kingdoms on dascen, elur, this splinter world. We come into athera, we have all these kingdoms, all the political machinations and all the conflict that can be within there. We have these different kinds of people. We have these ancient races that war through the first age and the second age. Now we're in the third age. And we have all of the fallout of all of that. We have these different groups of sorcerers that are seemingly in conflict, but are both in the background pulling the strings and trying to accomplish their own goals. We have this religious group with Ath's Brotherhood that's sort of coming into the fold, but we also know that eventually we're going to have the religion of light. Where does that come from? What's going on with that? There's other things at play too. We know there's Varain, who sort of works alongside the Fellowship to some extent. I'm not entirely sure what their relationship is, but he's sort of out there. He's overseeing the Myrtlevane swamp and trying to stop these monster things from being born out of this place. Like, what's going on with that? And the meth snakes, whatever. Like, what is happening, right? What's going on? And it's so expansive. It's so all over the place and chaotic, but in a very good way, in a very contained, organized way. And all of this will make sense. I have full faith. All of this will make sense as we continue through the series and as more things are revealed and more just sort of slowly falls into place, one thing at a time. And to me, wow, does that make me excited to read a series and to get those little reveals as we go. But they're not so few and far between that I'm constantly just like aching for some sort of reveal to happen. I'm not frustrated by it. But at the same time, it's not just thrust at you, all of this just put in your lap. And it's just this overwhelming experience. It's not that either. It's somewhere in the middle. It's very nicely done. It's a very well-paced rate of these reveals that we're going through, and we're learning more things about a group, and then we learn, oh, not everything is what we thought it was, and then we start to side with them a little bit more, but then it's like, oh wait, but these people had a very valid reason for doing what they're doing, so I'm like, oh, I don't know who to, that's the beautiful thing about this series. There's no right or wrong. There's no clear black and white. There's no heroes and villains, and everybody's point of view makes sense. They all believe that they're doing the right thing from their perspective. And as we watch that all unfold, as we go through and all these different aspects that I've highlighted in this video, I think that's going to be very, very interesting and very just, oh man, how amazing of a reading experience is that, right? This is just so fun. So I hope you like this, right? I hope that if you haven't read very far in the series, or if you haven't read at all, I hope this gets you excited to get in there and uncover some of these mysteries. Like, I'm excited to do that. If you've read the whole series, or at least further than me, and you watch this, I hope it's fun for you to laugh at the newbie who doesn't know anything yet, and you're just sort of cackling to yourself about all the times I'm going to be smacked in the face by something that pops up and happens and catches me off guard. But we'll see. We'll see. This is just, man, what a truly magical world and book series this is. I can't wait to get deeper. So thank you for watching this. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up. Talk to me in the comments. Let's keep it spoiler free, right? Just in case if there's anybody watching this that hasn't read any of the books yet or anything like that, let's please keep it spoiler free. But talk to me in there. Have you read these? What do you think? Are you excited to read it? Let's just gush about how much we love this awesome series. If you like the channel, hit that subscribe button. That is always fun to see the community grow and meet more of you guys, talk to more of you guys. And I'm so excited to make more videos in this series. This it's so fun to talk about, and there's so much to talk about too. Like, this is, I'm trying to kind of lay out the different pieces on the board, but even there, I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface. Like, this is truly like an iceberg where just that tip is outside of the water, and there's just this massive, massive iceberg underneath that we haven't even seen yet. It truly is amazing. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. So again, Thank you for watching. Go read The Wars of Light and Shadow, please. You will not regret it. I'll see you in the next video.